So my name is Sam Slater. I'm a second semester senior photography student here at CCA. And the project that I received a grant to facilitate was locally here at Mission High School. And so the title of the project was The View from Here, and The View from Here was a project utilizing cameras, teaching the kids how to use analog 35 millimeter film cameras, black and white film, and partnering up with Mission Pi, which is also partnered with Pi Ranch. Mission Pi is located down here on 25th and Mission. There they are on the corner. The high school's up here on 18th and Dolores. And so a large part of this project you'll see unveil itself as it's all within walking distance. It's all how do you make a project that is accessible from here, here, how are things happening within your environment. I feel like a lot of the stuff that we are engaged with nowadays are very detached from our home base. And so I was interested in dealing with, offering these students an opportunity to really deal with their home base. So Pi Ranch and Mission Pi, I've been working over at Mission High School for a while now, building a garden out there, and they've got raised beds out there, and the students are the ones that built the raised beds and various things. And so there's two teachers that are involved, Mark De Aquisto and Matt Heller, and then there's I don't know what they have at the moment right now, but last spring there were about 4 folks that would come in and work, as well as one of the owners of Mission Pi. So they're teaching them this sustainable agricultural process and this very cyclical motion where you're planting the seed. First you're building the raised beds, and you're planting the seed, and you're tending to your crops and then harvesting it. And in the case of Pi Ranch, located down by Santa Cruz, the students are seeing that whole process happen on a much larger scale, and then seeing a lot of the crops that are harvested put into pies and sold at Mission Pi over there on 25th and Mission. And so I was really intrigued by that whole process of showing these students this full circle aspect of part of something that we deal with on our everyday life, which is food. And I feel like art as well is a very integral part of our community. And so I felt like it was an interesting idea to think of the camera, and we would also eat a lot of pie in class. So I think it's very important to eat pie during class. So I thought it was very interesting to propose to the students, how do you utilize a camera as the same way that you utilize a shovel? So how can you use a camera to harvest your surroundings, to harvest and glean your environments for your perspective on them, and how do you share that and show that to the community? So these guys learned all these camera techniques, f-stop, shutter speeds, did a real brief photo history. I brought in as many books as I could carry. I'm always on bikes, so I had my panniers filled up and my backpacks filled up with books and film and cameras, and would bring this to offer these students. And this is Hector here. Hector was a phenomenal student at the school, and he's still out photographing right now. He still has that camera with him. And so these students started in the garden, started to document what was going on around them, and started to see how the camera could be used as a tool to collect and harvest. And then once they felt comfortable with that process of loading the film and f-stops and all that, getting all that right, once they felt comfortable with that, then they began to take the camera to their own neighborhood. And so this is Dominic over here, and they took the cameras out into their own neighborhood on their own time to just document whatever they felt important. And a big highlight on my part was to push them to think about the camera as one, as a tool to harvest, but two, as a tool to slow down. And how do you slow down and really see your environment and see what it has to offer you? I think that that's something that's very important to me. What do all those letters in between A and Z have to offer you? So when you're traveling through your space, a lot of these students don't drive, so they're walking and riding the bus. And I felt like that was very important for them to acknowledge their surroundings. So again, this is where the high school is, and most of the students lived around that area and explored that area. This is one of the murals, one of the many murals in the Mission District that I would also encourage them to explore those mural areas, Clarion Alley, Balmy Alley, and just explore those and would introduce that history of those through book form during the classroom meetings. And all the kids would do self-portraits as well. That's how I knew whose film was whose. And sometimes those are my favorite photographs. And so the students were out there collecting these images, and then they'd meet with me in the garden. We'd meet and swap cameras. We had enough cameras for half the class. The class was about 15 students that participated, and we had about enough cameras for 8 kids at a time. And so 8 of them would take it home with a couple rolls of film each, then bring them back the next week, and we'd swap it out, switch it out with the other half of the class. And then in that meantime, on the overflow of that, I would be taking the film, developing it, making quick work prints of that, and bringing those work prints in, and the students would begin to edit their work and create sequences of what they were interested in expressing and sharing with the community. And the ultimate goal that they knew of this as well. The ultimate goal was to work with a local printer, John Sullivan, Logos Graphics. It's located on 18th in Alabama. And to work with him to do a short run of 500 books to put to the press and to then distribute into their community at various bookstores. And also I encourage these guys to use the camera as a tool to engage with their fellow neighbors and to just use it as a tool for conversation. When you're walking down the street and you have an old camera out, people are often, what are you doing? And it's often a time for you to engage with them and get to know them. So this student was engaging with this guy who has a tattoo of his daughter, I assume. And I enjoyed this quote that they put out there: if everybody was nobody, then somebody can be anybody. And that's, I'm assuming, a found quote, but I don't know. And so this is John Sullivan, located over there at the blue dot over here, just again within walking distance. It's really just right on the other side of the hill over here, just on the other side of 16th Street. And John is a local printer. He's been working out here, I believe, for a little over 30 years. So he printed the books offset process on a Heidelberg press, which he's leaning on there, which is mid-20th century press, but it's still being used for various printing forms. So we printed 500 of these. You can see the papers on the side there, and then collated all the books. This is another part of his studio, but collated the books is putting them in order, so picking up one sheet at a time, and then taking those books and punching the holes and binding them and then boxing them up. And in mid-October, we had a book release party event at the Mission Pie over there on 25th and Mission. And so the students came out, a few folks from CCA made it out, and the principal of the school, the teachers, some parents, and we also have a billboard up out there as well. And this again is Hector, the student from the beginning, the first kid with a camera. And this is Trayvon here against the billboard here. This billboard has many of the spreads in the book on it, as well as some information about the project, and that's up there on 25th and Mission. We'll be coming down pretty soon, though. So it was a great time to be able to share Pi, share these books with the community, share these photographs that these students harvested of their neighborhoods, and the community voice that was brought together through the merging of all their images together and kind of sequencing them in a way that expresses how they feel about their community. This is one of the parents made it out here to support her daughter, Livia. And that about wraps it up for me. This image was to represent that a number of the students are still out there with cameras, photographing and documenting their work, as well as working with various other projects that are happening at Mission right now. There's some murals happening there with a teacher from CCA. I'm still loosely involved with them at the moment, but I look forward to working with them more and contributing to their creative development and helping. Some of these students are applying to schools now, and it's been a pleasure to help them in that process. So I think that wraps it up for me. Yeah. Thank you very much.